Hello and welcome to another edition of the Roman Gazette. And for those of you who are regular followers of this channel, about 50% of you apparently, you will be aware that we are rather fond of visiting, locating obscure sites that nobody else bothers with. And after a year now of weekly videos, I don't think it's boastful or conceited of us to say that we have brought some unique content to YouTube. We have visited sites that you won't find on YouTube or indeed the internet. And that's what we're doing this week. Whilst it's great to see a Roman wall, some Roman stones, carvings, that sort of stuff, I also very much enjoy finding the fainter traces of that long lost Romano British lifestyle. It's easy and understandable, I think, to assume that in the parts of the country where we have pasture land as opposed to intensively farmed arable, that the survival of ancient features in the farmed landscape is better. And I guess to an extent that is true, but since the Second World War, as with the arable areas, pasture land has moved to an intensive form of farming, and a hell of a lot of stuff has been lost. Even if it's a grassland field, the farmers are regularly ploughing that to reseed it with nutrient-rich grasses for optimal efficiency. And with that knowledge, I think it makes the type of discovery that we're going to have a look at today all the more satisfying. I thought so. Look at this. It's a lime kiln. Obviously nothing to do with our Roman exploration. Do you know what? If I could enlist a couple of you stout and sturdy amateur YouTube antiquarians, I don't think it would take much to get this place fired up again. We could, I'm sure we could get that going, and we could make some lime mortar and sell it via affiliate links on Amazon or something. YouTuber approaches style shot, mounts style shot, crosses style shot, and dismounts style shot. Low level shot. Seriously, I don't know why YouTubers have to do those sort of shots. Do you? We're here today to look at the remains of a Romano British settlement, a rural settlement that has been dated to 150 AD. And I suspect the reason for its survival in these fields is this. The landscape round here is lined by these limestone reefs. I'm sure that's not the right word, but they literally run in parallel lines across a series of fields here and clearly have prevented farmers from sort of intensively ploughing this land. And typical law of sod, I've arrived here at the Romano British settlement just off of Gallowberlane in Cumbria, and it's about to rain. I'm gonna not walk on the embankment. I feel that's just the wrong thing to do, but you can see here quite prominently the embankment, still with stone facings in part on both sides. It's a sort of a semi-ovoid structure. I mean, it really is incredible. And look at this here. Don't know what the significance of that was, but it's one of many stones still on the outer side of the embankment. Whether this was marking some sort of entrance, I don't know. Right, so we're inside the enclosure. That's the outer embankment. And the other great thing about this place that I absolutely love is that we've got these internal walls still with rubble in them, marking out quite clearly. Probably won't come out that well on video, but I can see here a whole series of different structures. Now, whether that was one large building with a roof across the whole of it, or a series of buildings within that sort of outer boundary, I just don't know. I'm not an expert. This is the sort of thing that amateur YouTube antiquarians love, by the way. This tree, which is now growing pretty much in the middle of the settlement, is pushing up all of this stonework. If I had a little bit more time to tootle around, as we say, who knows what I might find. This is a great wall here, internal wall, lots of stone still in it, and it runs not quite across the whole of the middle of the settlement, but just up here it sort of angles off there. Quite a big divide there. Don't know obviously what any of this was, how it was used. The ovoid was largely populated with buildings all around that side. Was this area here a sort of a yard type space? We've got doorways here. A nice bit of stonework there. Clearly this metalwork on here is later. It's been used as a gatepost or something like that. If we could get some stout amateur YouTube antiquarians down here, sure, we'd have that righted and back in use in no time. As I mentioned earlier, you know, we're not talking grand people. We're talking common or garden rural folk. What we know about this site comes from two excavations, both a very long time ago. The first one was in the 1890s, the second one was in 1945. If you look at the old maps, I put some sort of overlay up, it was just named as a British settlement, but it is now classed as a Romano British settlement by modern day experts. And there's some interesting discussion about that we'll pick up in a minute. The 1945 excavation identified quite a lot of Roman pottery, and that was how they dated it to 150. So we know people were living here in this rural settlement in 150 AD, and they were using Roman consumer goods. The 1890s excavation revealed a hipposandal. And we'll use some state-of-the-art tech to show you what a hipposandal looked like. Eat your heart out, new time team. There it is, that's a hipposandal. And that was found, as I mentioned, in the 1890s excavation. And it helps to prove the Romanization of the rural people that were living here. It's a type of shoe for a horse that was commonly used in the Roman Empire. And that's pretty much about all we really know about the settlement. So I want to try to sort of add some value to it, some understanding. The things I would observe are this dating of 150 is very interesting. The nearest significant Roman site to this is the fort at Barrow, which David Schotter in 1979 identified as the Roman fort alone. What an amazing name that is. And that came towards the end of the 1st century. Now there is a earlier Roman road, quite a long way over there. That dates back to the sort of 70 AD period. The people that were living here using Roman pots in 150 AD had only been under Roman rule for probably at best 75 years. There may have been people living in here, possibly, who remembered a time before the Romans even arrived. These Brigantes folk, these Britons living here, seem to have been quite happy to adopt a Roman way of life, benefiting from the consumer goods, better footwear for horses, better things to eat and drink from. I mean, if I concede that our modern day experts are a bit more sophisticated than they were in the 1890s and 1945, it would be great to get some of them back here to see if we could answer the questions such as, we know they were living here in 150, well into Roman rule, but were they living here before? Was this structure an Iron Age structure? Were there rural folk living here who then sort of adopted the Roman goodies? And when did they abandon this place? Were they still living here, possibly, once the Romans withdrew the army? I can't possibly know this, but because I'm about 25% Celtic Britain, according to my DNA analysis, I'm going to say that I think the Britons that were living here didn't really give a stuff about Flavian and his dynasty, but they did quite like his cups. So much of the stonework shows signs of having been shaped, and then there is naturally occurring limestone that seems to have been sort of put into the positions that they needed it. I'm going to claim my ancient Celtic British ancestry here, and imagine two of them wandering along outside the settlement one night, really moaning about Roman taxes, whilst at the same time really cherishing their hipposandals. Now, the other thing I just wanted to try to add to our knowledge of this, well, speculation, the location of it. Interestingly, today it is at a cross section of footpaths, and we know that many of our rights of way go back into the mists of time, so maybe those routeways were in use back then. And there is a lost Roman road somewhere in this vicinity. They know that a road left the Alone fort. They can trace it on the other side of the Lune, and then it is lost. Even Margery didn't find out where it was. Now, interestingly, and maybe there's an overlay over my face to show this, there are some sort of lines, very straight lines of hedges and tracks close to this site. I mean, I think it's more likely that the missing Roman road is running over there through that gap. Now, not being a trumped up amateur YouTube antiquarian, I'm sure this has been noted before. There's the settlement over there, and then you've got this quite interesting sort of hole in the ground there. And that's it, just about in time. The rain has started. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week for some content from WC21 UK Productions Limited.